So one of the more controversial updates in Krunker history happened earlier this week, especially for LMG players, where ADS has been limited, LMG health has been buffed, general balancing changes were made and things like that. And I personally don't care that much about all that because I don't really play the game anymore, but it's definitely put much of the community at odds with the game and each other on whether or not these are all good changes. But to me, these are nothing, because the real controversial part of this update is something a little more subtle, alright? It's probably not that big of a deal to most people, but to me, it's just something I can't ignore, alright? And it's that they changed the Krunker font, or according to the update, they made it legible. Now, the original Krunker font is, in a word, iconic. Its real name is FFF Forward, and it's this sort of retro pixelated bold font that's pretty much associated with Krunker, right? It's super stylized and it's, yeah, there's a reason why I call it the Krunker font. It's a big part of the game's charm. And it is also one of the worst fonts out there, legibility wise, alright? If you want an example, take a look at my username, alright? I already kind of mentioned this in the video about said username, but yeah, there's definitely an issue with legibility, where how X's and H's and K's all look like each other and it's hard to tell them apart, and lowercase c's can look like lowercase o's, especially in smaller font sizes, and like it's damn near impossible to read when it's smaller. And just in general, this font is awful with anything more than like a few words or like with titles or anything. Like, great big walls of text in this font are a strain on the eyes to read because the font is just an unconventional, thick mess of blocks. But even though it was objectively bad, it was still cool looking. Like, for some reason it just fits Krunker, right? Like, as I mentioned, this is a Krunker font, and I don't really see it being anything else. But the font now is different with this update. Like, it seems a little bit off. Maybe it's slightly different kerning or leading or anti-aliasing or something. I'm not sure. It just looks off to me. Almost like an uncanny valley type of deal. Like, is it just me or do some of these letters seem wider yet thinner at the same time? Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, the letter as a whole is wider, but the lines that make up the letter are thinner or something. It's enough to distract me and mess with my head while still being, at first glance at least, just normal. It's like the numbers seem way wider than the letters, alright? I just noticed this. The numbers are wider than the letters. Like, they almost seem like a different font altogether. What the I guess in terms of legibility, I can definitely see a little bit of improvement, alright? Like, walls of text don't really strain your eyes as much as they used to, and you know, you can see letters just a little better. I mean, it doesn't really fix the H's and the X's and the K's all the way, but even that is ever so slightly better. So, okay, it's more legible, fine, and is still kind of sort of the FFF Forward font at the end of the day, but I don't know, I just can't get over it. Okay, maybe I will get over it, eventually. Every time there's some small change of font across a major platform like Twitter or macOS or Chrome, it's almost always a bit jarring for a few days, then it's back to normal. But I just don't know, like, this is more jarring to me than any of the weird gaslight type updates Twitter would pull. I know this is kind of a non-issue, and I complained about the original font in the past, but honestly, now I see why hundreds of thousands of Twitter users collectively lose their mind at the tiniest updates. Cause it just, it just messes with your flow, even if it doesn't really change anything in the functionality.